Should we arm British police officers with tasers in a bid to control criminals? Will this aid the fight against terrorism, or will it make police more taser trigger happy? Plus, with more teenagers seemingly getting bullied online, is social networking social not working? And should racist users be banned from using it? Plus, as we're live from the University of East London, we ask, are university degrees relevant anymore, as nearly half of British graduates end up in non-graduate jobs? You're watching Real Talk. And a very warm welcome to a special Real Talk live from the University of East London in this, the last show in our current run. We've got some inspiring guests that you'll meet in a moment, but here's how you get in touch. You can send us a tweet at OTV, and thank you, we've had loads from across the world, thank you. Or you can email us realtalk@otv.co.uk. Right, let's meet the panel. We've got community activist Desmond Jadu. Hello, Desmond.
Hi.
You've travelled up from the Midlands to be here?
Yes.
OK, so you're very busy?
Very.
What are you up to at the moment?
At the moment, we've got several cases dealing with, but with the general election looming as well, we're focusing a lot now on voter registration and trying to encourage people to go out and vote.
Next to you is a lawyer and founder of Link App and Apprentice star, Lauren Riley. It's been a very busy 12 months for you, hasn't it, Lauren?
It has indeed, yeah, and continues to be so, thankfully, because that's how I like it.
You didn't win The Apprentice, but was it a good experience?
You know what? Overall, it was, yeah. I mean, it was really validating from my business perspective. Now I've gone on to do that, but also it was actually fun at the time, and obviously, you know, a real one-off, once-in-a-lifetime experience.
And do you think your business will be able to sort of grow without Salon's help?
Oh, yes, yeah, absolutely. You know, I've been really pleased that, obviously, because I was able to take it from an idea into an actual business. It's an app that's available in the App Store now.
Best of luck with that. And next to you, author and broadcaster and very controversial, flamboyant
me
character, David Icke. You've always been in the public spotlight for the past 30 years or so. You're an acclaimed author now.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've done a few things in my life, and 25 years ago, next month, I embarked on this journey, and I'm glad I did, because what's been uncovered in that 25 years is now playing out on the television news, because the world is so different to how people perceive it, and the forces directing human society are so different to those that we think are directing human society.
Do you know what? I love it. It's all X-Files. We'll talk more about that in just a moment. But we start with taser talk, as there have been calls for UK police officers to be given tasers to help with the threat of terrorists. This man, Steve White, he thought that, he chairs the Police Federation, and he feels that arming police officers will help with the threat of lone terrorism, such as in the case of the brutal slaying of Soldier Lee Rigby. These British-born Nigerians, here we see them, Michael Adebolajo and Michael Adebowale, are serving life for murdering Rigby in broad daylight. I'm sure you can remember the case, just by his army barracks. Could using tasers help save lives in a similar situation, such as the case of Mark Duggan, as you can see here, who some will argue would have been alive today if a taser and not a gun would have been used to apprehend him by the police? Let's hear from our Real Talk panel now. Let's start with you, David. A good thing to arm the police with tasers?
To give all police tasers? Absolutely not. You know, there's a thing in when people invade a country, and it's called mission creep. And we're only going in for this, and then, we do a bit more, and then we do a bit more, and then we do a bit more. And when tasers, I think it was 2004 that tasers were brought in, and I wrote at the time, this is just the start, it's going to be firearms officers now because they have to sell it to us. And then it's going to be more officers, and eventually it's going to be all of them.
But surely isn't tasers, Desmond, taser guns better than loaded guns? We know that people die with loaded guns. You only have to have the case of Mark Duggan, which sparked the London riots.
50,000 volts of electricity passing through someone's body I mean, we've had a case at Christmas in Newcastle-on-the-Lyme where someone's died as a result of a taser being
Yeah, but there's only
deployed.
been 10 deaths. There's only been 10 deaths in the UK by taser guns. I mean, Lauren, surely a taser has got to be better than a loaded gun, 50,000 faults or not?
Obviously, when you talk about the misuse of any weapon, particularly taser, obviously that's unacceptable. But obviously, there has to be practical reasons and examples where, you know, a use of a taser is going to be important. It is going to apprehend and potentially save lives in the right hands.
So what are we saying? You're not in favour at all?
No, I mean, they will have a place in certain situations. Now, when they were brought in, according to Taser International that makes them, I saw this today, they were intended to incapacitate dangerous, combative, high-risk subjects who pose a risk to law enforcement, correctional officers, innocent victims, or themselves. Just as you have mission creep in tasers are for firearm-trained officers only, and now let's kind of pull them out across everybody, so you've had mission creep in how they're used. I mean, we had a man, a blind man, who was tasered because some Keystone cops said they mistook his blind stick for a samurai sword. Now, this is an important point. There are some great police officers still, thank goodness, right? I've met some this week, great police officers. But within the police force, and I'm sure you will have come across them, mate, are absolute psychopaths and refugees from Keystone cops.
Well,
to play it out across all of them means you're giving 50,000 volts of electricity to turn on another human being to these people.
But potentially stop lives. Oh, sorry, Lauren.
You're talking about a more fundamental issue, and you're talking about a corruption within the police force, but whether you give them tasers, guns or batons that's capable of misuse. So your argument isn't necessarily against tasers, it's against the institution.
It's against rolling them out across the whole of the police force, because we've already seen endless examples of the fact that they're used not in a situation where police or the public are in danger, and that's just going to go on.
Let's bring you. You're a community activist, Desmond. You obviously speak to young people out there. What do you think they would say? Do you think they would be a bit happier that a police didn't have a loaded gun as opposed to a taser?
Why should they have a loaded gun either?
West Midlands Police have the highest deployment of tasers in the first 6 months of last year, 120 times out of 850 nationally. I mean, if we look at the Newcastle-on-the-Lyme incident, they mistook this man for a burglar.
Yeah.
He was visiting someone's house. The man is dead. 10 lives are 10 lives too many. And especially when you look at issues surrounding disproportionality as well. We can widen the debate and talk about stop and search. Who are these tasers really going to be used against? We know that this could end up being another issue for especially the African and Caribbean community, because every single thing the police get is disproportionately used against the African Caribbean.
Well, you're a lawyer, Lauren. I know you don't deal in criminal law.
No, I don't.
But is it a case that it would be easier to have a conviction, say, for example, if there was a trigger-happy taser cop who probably went too far, as opposed to a police officer that ended up shooting somebody?
Well, I mean, it is a very difficult argument, because I can see what you're saying in terms of the scale of weapon and violence, and obviously, like you say, 10 lives is 10 lives too many. But obviously, the counter-argument to that is, if had these been guns and every single taser used had been a shot, obviously the statistics would be way worse.
OK, well, thank you. You've been brilliant. We've had so many of you email, particularly in America and Africa. Thank you so much. Dave says, to be honest, if a copper pointed one of those things at me, I think it wasn't some joker that just had been to the pound shop. So there's that danger as well. Taser guns not looking like real guns. Derek said, it's a point of national pride in this country that police do not carry firearms. It elevates them in status and trust. Do we trust our police more because they don't carry these weapons?
The element of trust and confidence in the police is still, the jury's still out on that. We've got to remember we do have a two-tier justice system developing in this country, because as soon as a police officer puts a uniform on, it appears that they are immune from prosecution. We look at the Mark Duggan case, we look at the Sean Rigg case, we've got Kingsley Burrell going on up in Birmingham at the moment. We've got Mikey Powell, that's been 10 years in the making, and the facts are no one's been brought to justice. Now, the police have a culture of protecting their own first. And the fact that they protect their own
But
first...
also they've got a nature of protecting us, David. The level of terrorist threats is the highest it's ever been here in the UK. It's very severe.
Who told you that?
Well, this is what the statistics are saying.
Who told you that? What statistics told you that?
These are what we're getting from the
This
media.
is what the system has told you to justify more and more control and more imposition of law enforcement. What this is about is...
So are you saying the threat isn't severe?
This is about, on the level that they're saying, it is ridiculous. Now, this whole thing about tasers, I remember when they first came in, I read a newspaper article and a journalist had been down and seen them being tested. And the headline said something like, "Anything you say, officer, anything you want me to do, just don't shoot me with that thing." Now, once you get these people across the whole of the police force with a 55,000 volts, and they're using them willy-nilly as they are, then you're going to get people not questioning the police, not challenging the police. In America, my goodness, hundreds of people have died there.
Yeah.
But in America, you've got people on video, on YouTube, you can see it, questioning a policeman. Look, tell me the law you're arresting me on.
Absolutely.
And out comes the
Absolutely.
taser. Now, let's not forget this. We have a police force, going on from what you said, that allowed a innocent Brazilian electrician to be shot 7 times in the head at close range.
the London
and the
Tube.
person who did it was promoted. The lady who was overseeing the operation got promoted.
Okay.
Now, when you hear that, you're absolutely right. There is
are
a
we-
law for the population and there's a law for the police. And that is a fascist state if it's allowed to go on.
Okay, well, the people are agreeing with you on the email, to be honest. There's a good reason why police officers should not be routinely armed with tasers, says Simon. They are all psychopaths. I can't agree with that. They're not.
But there's a heck of a lot who are.
But hold on a minute. We need us to be protected as the public, Lauren. At the end of the day, if I know there's a police guy out there that might taser, you know, a terrorist, a potential terrorist, I want him out there.
I mean, nobody is going to argue that misuse of these weapons, you know, is absolutely unacceptable. But you're talking about a deeper problem there than just the taser issue itself.
The taser issue is fundamental because you're putting 55,000 volts in the hands of these people.
But if you took the people out of the institution that you're talking about, these psychopaths, then you wouldn't have that problem if you had a police force that was fair and just.
That's absolutely
So what's the
That'll never
solution?
happen.
What's the solution then, Desmond and David? Do we just leave it as it is and hope that our police, unarmed, can deal with the situation? Give me a solution.
First thing, before
Give me a
solution, just a
solution.
very quick thing. In Paris, the Paris attacks, the police were armed with guns, right? At the end of the day, we know what happened in Paris. So would a taser stop what happened in Paris? No, it wouldn't. In terms of what do we do? The police need to clean up their act. They need to stop protecting these officers that give good police officers a bad name.
I understand, but
Go
we're
back
talking
to the
about... Let's focus on the issue at hand. In terms of terrorism, this is why it's been in today, or this week. The police are saying, look, we need to deal with lone terrorism in particular.
How many people die from terrorism compared with road accidents, heart attacks and cancer? How many?
I don't know the statistics
one
there,
hand?
but obviously
Does
not...
it go more than one hand?
Well, no, it doesn't.
Well,
Do you know what I mean?
so what's it all about then?
So what are you saying?
We're being terrified into giving our power away. We're being terrified into giving more and more power to the authorities over us. Based on what?
Well, let us know if you agree with David and Desmond, who are saying no tasers, absolutely not. You can email us, realtalk@otv.co.uk, or send us a tweet. Sorry, Lauren.
There was an example of a case of a taser used this morning, actually, outside a primary school in Manchester. So actually nothing to do with terrorism, but there was a gentleman that caused an affray. He went home, he came back with weapons, 2 knives, I understand, and he was tasered and apprehended at that school. I mean, you know, Lord knows what would have happened had that taser not been there.
Okay.
Would the officers have been able to arrest him, or would somebody have been harmed?
There
may be.
I want some solutions. I definitely want some solutions. But can I just quickly go to some of the tweets? It's going mad on Twitter and email. Thank you. Big C JC says, ever tried restraining a well-built 15-year-old intent on smashing his house up and seriously hurting anyone who came near him? that sort of incident a taser would be useful for. Garth said, if the police can carry weapons, why not law-abiding citizens too? After all, violent street criminals, doped-up burglars are more likely to threaten the man on the street before the police get involved. Well, we're not looking at civilians having tasers, but I want solutions, please, to this.
Solutions. The police become the police force of the people. They base their actions on fairness. They represent justice. They represent the people they're supposed to serve. They do not represent an enforcement arm of government and authority and the corporate world. They treat everybody, irrespective of colour, creed or background, exactly the same.
That's rose-tinted. That's rose-tinted.
No,
A lot of people think that's
rose-tinted.
respect.
If people do not feel that the police respect them, if they don't feel that they're getting justice from them, they will then have antipathy to the police.
Okay, so in conclusion, you say no to taser guns.
I say no to taser guns rolled out across the whole of the police force and put into the hands of anybody,
Lauren?
no matter what their personality and background.
Thank you, David. Concluding this part of the show, are you saying no to taser guns, a bad initiative or a good one?
I would say yes in appropriate circumstance with, extensive training and accountability. So when they are used, the important thing is that they're not misused.
Desmond.
Tasers have a part to play in policing, not rolled out across the board simply because of what Lauren said. Lauren's actually given all the reasons why we shouldn't have tasers, because the police don't tick any of those boxes whatsoever.
Exactly.
Okay, we have to go for a break. Before we do, though, you've got an initiative coming up, haven't you? Your
initiative is in Birmingham. What I'm doing is I'm talking to 2 large mosques at the moment and trying to develop dialogue about why is it that some converts become radicalised. So from a community aspect, we're dealing with it, which is what the police should be doing, as opposed to giving them a taser to go out there and do whatever they want to do.
Okay.
Practical solutions.
And Lauren, your link app is available for people to download.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It's available for the public to download, but it's also about law firms being aware of it and obviously coming to an agreement with us.
Okay, time for a break on Real Talk. Some hot talk, real talk. You can hear David Icke there was getting very emotional. We love hearing from you as well. After the break, are university degrees relevant anymore, or can you get most jobs without one? See you in a few minutes.